Una domanda per Kiefer Sutherland. Volevo sapere se interpretare il ruolo del generale in maniera così divertita e parodica fosse anche un po' un modo di rispondere alle polemiche riguardanti il suo personaggio di Jack Bauer.
There's no correlation between them. Sorry, there is no correlation between the two. I was actually shooting 24 when we were making Monsters vs. Aliens, and I cannot tell you what a breath of fresh air it was for me. The schedule for 24 is quite rigorous, and it's a very serious undertaking, and to be able to work 5-6 hours a week and come in and have fun with the voice of General Monger was such a relief. In many ways, it kind of reduces you to that of a child, and it reminded me, just in its improvisational nature, why I started acting in the first place. It was that much fun. So they're very separate to me.
Talk about how you came up with the character, the voice.
Jeffrey just wanted me to kind of tell you how that voice was kind of discovered, and one of the things, again, I think that's the most creative process. The rest of it is actually trying to make it fit and have it make sense. But the creating of the voice, we all sat down and kind of discussed. There were certain requirements. Obviously, he's a lifetime military guy, so there was a fantastic voice. The sergeant in Full Metal Jacket, he was always barking, and it was a great voice, and we all agreed that we liked that. And my favorite cartoon character in the United States is a character called Yosemite Sam, and he was in a lot of the Bugs Bunny cartoons, and we tried to use another voice to kind of create some humor. And for those of you that don't know Yosemite Sam, he's a bitter man, and he starts off every Bugs Bunny cartoon with one very famous line, which is, "Bring on the fearless freak, I hate rebels." And I did that line, and we kind of laughed, and that was the beginning of us finding that voice.
Una domanda per esempio, perché a proposito di questo personaggio, sempre Mr. Sutherland, ricorda anche un po' i generali del Dottor Stranamore, rimanendo nel campo di Kubrick. Sia la sala in qualche maniera ricorda molto, non so se Mr. Vernon ci aiuta da questo punto di vista, c'è un eco del lavoro di Kubrick, e poi i generali del Dottor Stranamore più o meno hanno questo tipo di decisionismo.
Again, this is one of those fantastic aspects of all of the elements coming together, and certainly from the actor's perspective, we work very privately. I would highly doubt that George C. Scott channeled Yosemite Sam for Dr. Strangelove, but it shows you the power of the visual image. I had a very specific idea of what I wanted to create with the voice, and I think the visual representation of this prison and the way the general looks and the way he moves and interacts with the other characters visually, I think is where people are really drawing the Dr. Strangelove reference from.
Abbiamo domande? Ecco, prego, abbiamo una domanda qui, poi lì in fondo, prego.
Buongiorno, Federica Aliano per Alphabet City, la domanda è per la signora Witherspoon. Mi sembra che ultimamente molte commedie, soprattutto rosa, premono molto l'acceleratore sul fatto che una donna non ha bisogno di un uomo che la metta in ombra, quindi volevo sapere se ha voluto lei premere l'acceleratore su questo punto all'interno di Mostri contro Alieni, e se come produttrice ha in serbo per noi un altro piccolo gioiello come Penelope.
Well, I think it's a really interesting idea that this character learns to not only not be saved by a man, but actually be able to save herself and her friends and save the whole world. I definitely think that's possible for a woman, if we're ever given the opportunity. And I think, I've been approached to make a lot of animated films, and I was never really that interested because I always felt like the characters that I was offered weren't as strong as I would have liked to play a woman in an animated film. There's a lot of young girls out there who are really ready to see a female superhero. I was talking to my children, and we were on a walk, and I said, who's your favorite superhero? And my son listed probably 25 men who were superheroes, and my daughter couldn't think of one. So hopefully this is an opportunity to present a female superhero for little girls to look up to.
Annalisa Alfanderini, prego, in fondo.
Sorry to answer the question.
Maybe you want to add something about the producer?
Oh, I'm not producing anything right now, but thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed Penelope. It was a joy to make, and I loved Christina Ricci in it. She was wonderful.
Buongiorno, volevo chiedere agli animatori essenzialmente qual è stata la cosa più difficile di questo film e qual è stata la novità di questo film allo stesso tempo. E poi ho una domanda per Kiefer Sutherland.
Conrad?
Yeah, sure. Well, I think one of the biggest challenges we had was this guy right here. He presented us with character animation and effects challenges that we had never faced before. Bob, I should say. Yes, Bob. Not only did he have to act and make people laugh and emote, but also he had to be able to split into two pieces. He had to be able to spit his eyeball out. He had to be able to explode when hit with a bomb. So we actually had to separate that between two different departments, which we've never done before, where half of his animation was done by the animators, and then when something would hit him and he needed to explode, they would pass it over to the effects team, and they would make him explode, and then come back together, and then pass it back to the animators, who would continue to make him act. So on top of all that, 3D came into the whole mix, and we told them to go back to the drawing board and now make this all happen in 3D. So the first time we put on our glasses to watch this, it was wild, because Bob came out and you could actually see through him bubbles behind bubbles in 3D, and just acting and running around. It was great.
In addition to that, I think it's also just one of the more complex movies we've made at the studio. We have enormous action scenes and characters of widely varying scales, and it was just a challenge to keep it all together and make it dynamic.
Prego, la seconda domanda.
Volevo chiedere a Kiefer Sutherland, I'm here. Lei ormai ha una carriera molto lunga e non so, forse all'inizio mi piacerebbe sapere che cosa secondo lei, visto che suo padre è anche un attore che ho avuto il piacere di conoscere, che cosa secondo lei nella sua carriera e nel suo modo di essere attore l'ha preso da suo padre o comunque la ricollega alla carriera di suo padre, se c'è qualcosa. Grazie.
I was actually smart enough, I think, as a young person to try and stay away from my father's career. I've always broken films down into three kind of compartments. There are movies, which are fun. There are films, which are a little smarter, and there is cinema, which is art. I personally don't believe I've ever made art, and yet off the top of my head, I can tell you that Fellini's Casanova, Bertolucci's 1900, and Nick Rogue's Don't Look Now are pure cinema to me. My father is, I think, one of the most prolific actors in the English language, and I think I have a huge respect for that. And having said all that, he was very, very kind to me in allowing me to go in my way, and was very helpful. But the time that we spend together, most of the time, is really just because it's so precious to us, is really about our family stuff. So our careers, I think, are very separate. I can't get away from the fact that I look like a short version of Donald Sutherland, and that seems to be increasing. And I rip his voice off all the time. But I mean, outside of the physical characteristics, I think what drives us in the choices that we make are very, very different.
Ecco, prego, abbiamo una domanda lì.
Buongiorno, Valentina Neri.